I can't believe it actually happened. I finally found the book I was looking for.
It has been such a long time since I found a really good 5-star book. So I'm gonna read some of the most well-loved, most popular books on the internet right now. I'm gonna try to not end this until I find a 5-star book. I should really put something on this wall so I have something nice to film in front of. Not only have I heard a lot of good things about this book, but this is one book that I feel like I see on one of the front tables in Barnes & Noble every single time I walk in the store. And so I feel like that means it must be really good. First one I got on my Kindle, it's called The Summer of Broken Rules. The best part about it so far is how fast-paced it is. I just finished it and I realized I haven't really said anything throughout reading it. So I actually did really enjoy the book. It's also the kind of book that like there's not that much to it. It's very simple. Like I did really enjoy my time reading it, but will I think about it at all after today? Probably not. Is it a 5-star? No, but I'd say it's a solid 4. The next book I have to read is a book that I've been seeing all over the internet for a while now, and pretty much every video I see on it, people are rating it like 4.5 to 5 stars. I think there's a set of like a few things that I look for in a 5-star book, and number 1 is the ability to read it pretty quickly. Also setting. I like a really pretty setting, usually something that's like outdoorsy. Number 3 is that the characters have to be really interesting and really unique. Number 4 is that when I finish it, I really want the whole story to feel super cohesive. I like when everything is pieced together perfectly. So I'd say those are like my top 4 biggest things that I look for in a 5-star book. So I have a lot of hope for this book. It is The 7-Year Slip. The synopsis is really interesting to me. It seems like a very unique idea. So I'm going to start this now and hopefully I will finish it soon. I'm really excited. I can already tell that this is going to be a good book because the writing style is so good. I do really like the characters. Love, love, love the writing in this book. I also just love this cover so much. I think it's the colors of it and also the font. Basically, it's about this apartment that can move either 7 years into the past or 7 years into the future at any time. When I first read the summary of this book, I was like really confused as to how this book could be, I guess, really good. But thus far, I'm loving that aspect of this book. That's actually my favorite part, the fact that it time travels. As you can tell, this book had a lot of potential until I got to about the halfway mark. I'm getting through a couple chapters where I'm just a little bit bored. Like the writing is just so like, it's just very pretty and it's very unique. Like I don't feel like I've read books that have been written like this before, and that's a really great thing about this book. But I feel like because of that, it makes it kind of like run on a little bit more than I want it to, and there will be like conversations that last an entire chapter. Like literally one conversation will be an entire chapter. Those have been the places where I've gotten a little bit just like tired and wanting things to move on and move a little bit faster. When I finished, I rated it a 4.75, which means I had to go back to the drawing board to figure out what I wanted to read next. Picking these books out is really hard because I feel like there's a lot of pressure on each one because I want so badly for at least one of them to be a 5-star. So for my next book, I was looking through my Goodreads and literally like I think I narrowed it down to probably 10 books I want to read, so that doesn't help that much. So I was thinking about reading Anxious People, not sure about that one yet. I also still haven't read Funny Story or The Women by Kristen Hanna. Only one left. I still haven't read Divine Rivals. Once Upon a Broken Heart. The Prison Healer, Wrong Place, Wrong Time. It seems really interesting. I definitely want to read that at some point soon. There's just so many books. So it's the next day. I've gone back and forth about what book I'm going to read next. But then I settled on this book. This book is one I actually already had. I got it kind of a while ago and then just never ended up reading it, and I figured now is the perfect time for that. Everyone's talking about it right now and I figured it's a good time to get on the bandwagon, and that book is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I think there's a similar like game played in this book that's like the Hunger Games. I actually don't know that much about it, but what I do know is everyone seems to love it.
Was phenomenal and amazing and life-changing.
I'm really liking that it is very different from the other 2 books I read, in the sense that it's very action-packed and there's a lot going on. I really need to get this sticker off, but my favorite part about it is there's like these trials coming up, and I'm super excited to read that part and to see how those, like what those entail and what those look like. I'm very excited about that part.
I decided to look back on some of my old 5-star reads to decide what makes them so good so I can maybe try and find something similar. Don't ask why I did this in the dark, I just thought it looked cool, okay? But anyway, what I started to realize was that none of them were really that similar to each other. So although I had these 4 rules of things I liked in books, the reality was that I didn't really know what made the difference between a 4.75 star book and a 5-star book. All I knew was that I just had to really enjoy my time reading it. And for a minute, I thought Powerless could have been my strike of luck, but then the only thing I'm noticing is that it does feel pretty young. Not that that's a bad thing. I do really enjoy young adult books, but for some reason this one feels especially young. I don't really know why. I promise I'm not intentionally looking for things to dislike in these books. I'm just trying to be honest, okay? Powerless is done. Powerless is a good book, but I just didn't rate it 5 stars. Okay, moving on. So I chose to read The Housemaid next. This book is really good. Like, don't get me wrong, I love this book. I love mystery thrillers that are like really simple in concept and there's only a few characters. It's like all takes place in one house, and I know I'm going to rate it highly. However, like there are definitely ways in which things are happening that I didn't expect, and I am still pretty shocked at a lot of the reveal. The only thing is that kind of the main part of it I did expect. This was the one that I was like, okay, this has to be a 5-star. I don't want to read any more books for this. I just want to be done with this video. But I gotta be honest too. I really wanted to finish with a 5-star, but at this point I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. So I'm gonna look for some other books to read, but at this point I don't really know how this is gonna work. This video was actually kind of hard for me to make because I really didn't know when it was going to end. I had tried these 3 books and they weren't 5 stars, and I even tried a couple of other books and hoped they'd be the one, but nothing seemed to work. I think something I'm figuring out is that when you're desperately looking for your favorite book, it's actually really hard to find. I don't know if I'm just picky or if I'm just unlucky, but even though these books weren't 5 stars, they all came really close and I actually really enjoyed reading them, so it was all worth it. This one is one of my favorites. Also, I didn't have enough frames, so a lot of them are just taped to the wall. Don't judge me. I also really like this one. The colors of this one remind me of that one mystery thriller that I haven't read yet that I still really want to read. And it was really true what I said about it being hard to find the perfect book when you're looking for it, because while I was editing this video, I casually started reading a mystery thriller I'd been hearing about. It seemed interesting, so I just started listening to the audiobook. It was Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. And it's the next day and I've already finished it because it was so good and so like unexpectedly good. Like I really did not have that high of expectations for this book. Like everything I look for in a mystery thriller was in this book. The plot was great, the characters were like perfect, and it ended in a way where all I wanted to do was read more when I was done. And of course I had to give it a 5 stars.